All right, scanning for deltas. This is a fantastic weight room tool for any coach or leader to have in their toolkit. It depends on, I'll explain what it means, but it really depends on clear standards. I'm going to use something very basic, like the depth of a squat, to explain this. So let's say that in our weight room, the expectation is that at full depth squat, our knee and our hip are on the same plane. So there's the ground. And you hear people say things like 90 degrees and different things like that. We just say our knee and our hip are on the same level. Here's the squat. The weight would be above the base. You get the idea. But in our weight room, on a squat day, whether it's front squat, back squat, overhead squat, or any variation, the squat has to be to depth. That's one of our basic standards. When you start to work at scale, so a team, and we've had situations where we might have a team of 15 basketball players, but we might also have a weight room, and we're blessed to have a big weight room, but we might have 100 people in the room at the same time. Now, hopefully we have enough coaches and there's an appropriate ratio of coach to athlete. But what we do is, instead of going to every spot and checking for depth, we scan for deltas. And here's what that means. It was actually influenced by a former athlete of mine. His name's Ben Hogan. He's in the Air Force. Brilliant and wonderful guy. He brought up this beautiful image of looking into the cockpit. So maybe you've been on a plane before and you've had the opportunity to look into the cockpit of an airplane. And there are who knows how many buttons and dials and slides and gauges. It is, from an outsider's perspective, just a mess of potential inputs. But all of them, of course, are important. Instead of looking at every single gauge and valve, and I don't even know what's up there, but instead of looking at every one of these possible inputs, what the leader, the pilot in this case, or the leader of our space, the coach, will do is have a very clear sense of what good looks like, what the standard is. And instead of going rack to rack and being fully fine-tuned, which is difficult at scale, you get such a clear idea. Not only have you communicated it to your people, but you have such a clear idea of what it is supposed to look like that anything that is off jumps off the radar. Back to the airline pilot. They might scan loosely across this dashboard of inputs, noticing that, well, if there's a gauge that's supposed to be here and is now red and here, that's the only thing that matters in that moment. They don't need to take all of the inputs at one time. They know what it's supposed to look like. They scan for deltas, and once they find it, they lock on. So in a weight room situation, maybe you just notice the one person who is squatting high, and you go over and support them, and you use all the things in your toolkit, visual cues, language, modeling, any of those things, and you help them get to the place where you ask them to be. Maybe more immediate in these situations is in the same movement, in a back squat, let's say, spotting is essential. Spotting is essential in the back squat. So if we are ever in a situation where we have a room full of people, we know what the standard is, we know that we've explained it clearly, and we scan the room constantly. Our eyes are continuously toggling back and forth across the space. As we're engaging and coaching, our periphery is on, and we'll notice if someone is not being spotted. Maybe the spotter is just looking in the other direction or having a conversation. Maybe the spotter is too far back from the athlete to actually support. Well, we lock in on that as coaches, and we address the concern immediately. And, we do it, I think, in a supportive but direct way. But the standard is the standard, and we're scanning this big space, lock onto a concern, aim directly for it, and fix it before we move on.